Hey, thanks for joining me. It's another beautiful day outside. We're not even halfway through April, and it's around here in southern Ontario. It's usually cold through April, I'd say, for the most part, and it's straight up hot today, and I think we're getting more of the same. So it's a beautiful thing. So I'm going on a long walk right now. When I do, I generally listen more to podcasts than music. Music I like to listen to at home, always in the background at home, while I'm reading, in the car. When I'm going for a walk, I like listening to podcasts more than anything. So I want to talk about that. I was always into that kind of thing ever since I was maybe 8 years old. I had my first AM, FM radio Walkman, and I'd just be tuning in to talk radio, and just listening to adults conversate, and I always just found it really interesting. As a teenager, I got really into Howard Stern, and I was into him for a long time. Not so much anymore. He's kind of turned into a bit of a goof, if you ask me. But um, podcasting got big with the Joe Rogans and whatnot of the world, and I was listening to that, and I still listen to him. Actually, some people don't like him. I don't have to listen, but I don't really see why you'd have a problem with the guy. I really don't. But a lot of comedy podcasts I listen to, but I'm here today to talk about metal podcasts. Not music podcasts, pretty much metal podcasts. And those are the ones that I don't really just listen to at home. At home, I put things on double speed and just kind of, try to pay attention. But when I'm on a walk, I listen to metal ones that I can focus on. So I'm going to start off with my 5 favorite ones. First one is Requiem Metal Podcast. It's been going on for a long time. They had a period of inactivity, but they've been back at it for a while. And the old episodes are a lot of the big names of metal. Well, the big names of extreme metal, I'd say. They were shorter, maybe. Someone's behind me. 2-hour episodes. But what they're doing now is, for example, the most recent thing is a Venom show, which is like 3 6-hour episodes. There's a lot of music and interviews in there, but it's mostly the host talking about these bands or these subjects. And I think they're good hosts. They're just likable guys, know a lot about metal, and I'm really into it. They also have these really long episodes where they're talking about more obscure bands. Like, where else can you find a 6-hour episode on The Cosm or Nocturnus or Ophthalmia? Need I go on? And I should mention that all these shows are available on Spotify. That's where I listen to most of my podcasts. And I think a lot of other people listen to as well. So very easy to find. So Metal Requiem, that's probably my number one. It's one of the few podcasts I'm a Patreon member for as well. Not that they do much bonus material, but that's okay. I think it's still worth it. Next up, Terminus, Extreme Metal Podcast. It's a weekly show where they take 2 or 3 mostly brand new extreme metal releases, and they're talking about a level of underground that I usually don't delve into without a high recommendation. So anything they have positive things to say about, I'll at least stream it, and if I like it, I might even buy it. And these guys talk, it's never really about the lyrics or the band members or anything like that. It's all about the music, and it's in a much more in-depth manner than what I'm used to. And I couldn't hold a conversation with these guys when it comes to just talking about music itself. Not even close. So that's probably my second favorite. Third, at this point we're probably talking in no particular order, but Radical Research Podcast. Jeff Wagner and Hunter Ginn. Wagner is an author. He's wrote a book on Fates Warning, a book on Typo Negative, a book on progressive metal. He was editor at Metal Maniacs during a period in the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s. Hunter Ginn, he is, I think, drummer in the progressive metal band Canvas Solaris. And both of these guys are just dictionaries of metal and weird music in general. So each episode, they'll be talking about a band or a subject, and this is anywhere from like 70s synth or the more out there 70s prog rock all the way to the most technical death metal today and the weirdest black metal today, but mostly from the past. So that's an awesome one. You have Necropolis, which is a newer one. but I think they still have like at least 100 episodes. A little bit more infrequent. Every couple weeks, maybe an episode will pop up. It's everything from extreme metal to philosophy to classical music, and somewhat tying all those things together at certain times. So that's another very interesting one. A little bit more of a deeper level than what you're used to getting out there. Into the Necrosphere is probably rounding out my top 5. That's with Jackie Smith is the host, and he just seems like a cool guy. And I actually don't always agree with his musical takes. Usually when he has something to recommend, it's not really for me, but I just like the way he's coming from. He makes interviews interesting when I usually don't like audio interviews. And I just like his take on things. So that's a great show. Everything, so now I'm going to talk about some other ones that I think are great. Everything Went Black. That's with Mike Hill from Tombs. That's not strictly music, so I'll make that brief. But him and his friends have a bunch of podcasts that are all kind of a brotherhood of podcasts. Some about horror movies. Horror Wolf 666. Soul Knox is one I like. Iblis Manifestations. Necromaniacs, another one about horror movies. So yeah, that whole loose association of podcasts, I like all those as well. Fathoming Heavy. It's really rare I see an episode from that podcast anymore, but I think it's still a thing. And what I like about it is the interviewer, he just gets mostly American extreme metal bands, and mostly just talks to them about how they got into metal, growing up being a metal fan, and how they feel about it. And I really like that kind of stuff. Thrash It Out's a good one. Yes, they might talk about some more mainstream stuff, like mainstream Metallica, maybe mainstream Megadeth, Slipknot, like newer stuff that I don't really listen to. And then some 80s stuff. Like I like a lot of 80s glam metal and stuff like that. But they talk a lot about that stuff, and I don't know, I just find the host pretty likable, and I found some cool albums that way. And if it's an album I'm already familiar with, I like to hear their take on it, even though I don't think I share a whole lot in common with them musically. Agitators Anonymous, that's 2 episodes a week. Alan Averill from Primordial, he's the host. I really respect his takes on metal. He's got a lot of knowledge, and the times when he talks about the world at large, I always appreciate what he's got to say. I agree with him on a lot of things. Toilet of Hell, I have mixed feelings about. They're very snarky. Kind of get political a lot. Not really my thing. They more talking negative about bands and talking positive. But I can't deny that many years have gone on and I still listen, so I get some entertainment value out of it. And I do think they're pretty funny sometimes. So I got to be fair. I'll put them on here. Rock and Metal Combat Podcast. They have some periods of inactivity, and they're mostly focused on older music, but I find those guys funny. And again, they know a lot more about 70s and 80s rock than I do, and I can find a lot of undiscovered gems through them. What else? Discography discussion. That might be over. I haven't seen an episode in a long time. But they would just take a band and blitz through discography. I always got a kick out of that one. Noise Extra is more about noise music, which I barely even listen to, but I think that's a good podcast. Hellcast was almost like an unofficial Hell's Headbangers podcast. I thought that one was really good. I dabble with many others. Right now, actually, just as I was going for my walk here, I was listening to a show called The Fundamentalists. So not The Fundamentalists, but The Fundamentalists. And they're just talking about new releases and old releases. And every now and then when I see a subject that interests me, I give it a listen, and then I forget about them. But I'm listening right now, and they're doing a good job. So I'm going to add that to the list. And again, there's many others I'll listen to an episode here and there. Many others that I think I should like but never listened to. But check these out. And if you got any recommendations, I want to hear them. And if you've given a crack to podcasting on your own, definitely interested, tell me what it's called or whatever, and I will 100% give it a listen. So thanks for watching. See you next time.